Hey guys, so it is a weekday for us. We're on the road. We're going to check out our house that's being built.
The new house.
We, as you know, if you watched the last video, we sold our current house and we're getting ready to move out this weekend.
Right, so there's some excitement, but a little bit of stress, and we'll be taking you guys along on that journey.
And today we decided to talk about one. I don't really know why we were thinking about this, but what we wanted to talk about is we wanted to go back in time and talk about our family's reaction to our relationship when we first got together. And we're going to get into that in a second, but first, I want to tell you we're at 987 subscribers as of today. And so if you're watching this video and you like our content and you want to see it when we do new stuff, go ahead and punch that subscribe button and put us over 1,000. We're going to be so happy when we get over that 1,000 mark.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about our family's reaction to our relationship. Let me give a little background on my side. So my family, we are all regular schmegular white people.
Okay.
Yes. There are no black folks in my family at all.
Maybe a little bit. Not a caramel, not a...
No.
Okay.
No, not even like a darker Latin person. Nope. Not even. Everybody's regular.
Cappuccino, a hazelnut cappuccino. No. Okay.
No, we're all like vanilla without the latte.
Okay.
Straight up. And so I don't think, looking back at my childhood, I'm like, Aziz asked me this before, like, how come I did not date any black ladies before I met her?
Right, it's a real question, yes.
And I know, we explored all nooks and crannies of that one. And the best that I can tell is that I never thought I could. And let me explain that attitude. So growing up in the suburbs, pretty much white suburb, very homogenous. I didn't have any black neighbors, no black kids that I played with. All my friends were white, and that's just because that's who was around. And then fast forward to like middle school and high school and all that. I went to high school downtown, so
with a
lot of black folks.
Yes.
So there was like a mix, but even then, I feel like when kids were starting to dabble in like the dating and things like that, I still feel like even in that environment, like it was mainly like white kids dating white kids and black kids dating black kids. It never occurred to me that I could date a black girl, even in high school. Like, not that I would have anything against it, but it's just something that never occurred to me. I just thought like.
Let me ask you. Sorry to interrupt. Did you ever feel attracted? Like, that celebrity, I don't know, Janet Jackson, whoever. Oh, that lady is attractive.
You picked Janet Jackson?
Okay. Janet Jackson back in the day was, and still is, a beautiful lady.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. She's my senior a little bit. It was funny to me.
Yeah, you look up to, but anyway.
Yes.
You get my point.
Yes. So yeah, I thought black girls were attractive, but it's weird. Because I had not a lot of experience with black culture, because I didn't have black friends. I didn't go over to black people's houses when I was a kid to have dinner. I didn't know I didn't know anything about, like, I had this odd feeling that they had a specific culture that was unique for me. I wouldn't understand it, and so probably I was like self-conscious, like I think I told you this before, that like one of the feelings that I had about why I would never ask a black girl out is that I thought that they might need things or be interested in things that are completely different from me and I wouldn't understand.
Understood. So now we understand a little bit of your backstory.
Yeah.
And we'll get into a bit, what did your family, what did your parents say as far as you dating a beautiful Black queen? And so let me give my backstory, right? So I grew up in South Florida, and my family, I'm the only one born here in the States, but my family's from Jamaica. My dad is a true Rasta man. If you know a Rasta man, you know a Rasta man, right? And grew up with both my mom and dad until high school. And for me, not that I thought anything was wrong with, people from different races or cultures dating, but it wasn't something that I saw a lot of, right? I just thought, I'm a Black lady or a Black young lady. I'm going to be with, a Black gentleman, right? Ideally, maybe even Caribbean, right? And that was just my mindset, right? I was very, I still think I'm Afrocentric, right? But I was just very into, dating another Black person.
But let me interject there. But now we go to South Florida, and there's tons and tons of interracial couples. Was that not the same back when you were in South Florida?
Well, it's pockets, right? So if you go to like Miami Beach, you see that. Where I was at, they call it Jamaican Hill, right? So just tons of Caribbean. When I say Caribbean, Black Caribbean people. So a lot of mainly Black Jamaicans, Black Haitians. So not that I never saw people who were of other races and cultures, because I told Charles my elementary school I was bussed out. My best friend was white, right? I interacted. I went to school with people from all walks of life and love them, still love them. It was just not kind of like you thought, like, hey, it's just, I'm gonna date or marry someone who looks like me. Now, fast forward to when I was living in the Caribbean. And when I was living in the Caribbean, I did part of my schooling there, my med schooling there. And people from all walks of life, right? And I don't know, maybe it's me getting older, being more exposed. I was like, you know what? I like you like me. I don't care if we look different. We're both intelligent. Let's talk, right? And I think prior to meeting Charles, I've dated individuals from all, walks of life, right? Different races, ethnicities, from different backgrounds. And so I think I was a little bit more exposed to what that would be like compared to Charles, right? Charles is not the first white man that I've dated, right? And so he wasn't a novelty. He wasn't a new thing. I liked him because I liked him, right? And so fast forward to you meeting me, right? We were just saying, almost 6 years ago, not
Ooh.
quite. And when he told me that I was the first Black woman that he ever dated, my first thought was, why, right? Am I a fetish? I think I used that word multiple times.
You grilled me about that.
I grilled him those first few months because I didn't want to. I feel like for some individuals, not all, someone of a different race or a different hue, it's like, interesting. I just want to see what you're about, but I'm not in it for the long haul, right? And so I really was very adamant in making sure that it wasn't about the color of my skin that was intriguing to him, that he was actually interested in who I was as an individual, right up here.
And by the way, so I think people know this, but we met online. We met on one of the dating apps.
It works online.
Yep. And that's actually the reason that you and I got together, because if we had just been out in public or something like that, I probably would have still been scared to talk to you.
Yeah, he told me that.
I probably would have still been scared. But then I saw your profile on the dating app, and I saw that you looked educated. I couldn't really tell what you did. You had some
I
weird,
look educated.
You had this complicated thing. Like for your occupation, you said I'm like a PGY R2D2 C3PO.
Yeah, when you're in residency, postgraduate year, like your year in residency or training, as far as to become a medical doctor. They have different, I guess, terminology, abbreviations to it. So that's what he's referring to. But brings us to, okay, we dated, we liked each other, we got past that. Now, what I want to know, what did your family say when they found out that you were dating a Black woman?
Well, I'll tell you, it's probably not as interesting as what your story is going to be about your family, because, you know, my family kind of keeps things to themselves.
Okay.
You know, you were the first Black woman ever to like put a foot of any kind into our family. And so it was funny. Like, I remember, you know, prepping people in my family, you know, before they meet you, like, oh, by the way, she's a Black lady. And, you know, just so that just because, like, I know,
brace yourself.
well, because I know it's not what they're going to expect. Like, they're going to expect, oh, yeah, Charles' new fiance or girlfriend or whatever. Oh, she's going to be, you know, why? So I felt like I had to prep people so they didn't like choke or something, you know, just because it's
Let them choke.
It's just not what it's just not what they expect, right? And
who did you say? Well, probably your dad, right? Who did you tell first? Did you tell your dad first?
Yeah, well, my dad met you first. My dad was the first family member of mine that you met. Well,
correct.
Well, you met my dad and the
But did you prep
kids
them?
at the same time.
I did. Did you
Yeah.
prep your dad that, oh, it's a Black lady, or was it just he met me and hey?
Yeah, no, I think I showed him a picture of us together.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I didn't come out like and say, watch out, she's Black. But no, I showed a picture of us together, so, you know, he can like look and he can, you know, make the deductions on his own, right?
Okay. Did you get a response, or did you get, or no, you just, oh, okay.
No. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, very, very pretty, you know. You know, and but like
What
I
did
said,
your mom say?
like I said, not much. Oh, that's great. You know, people in my family don't show their reactions. Now I know once or twice, like, for example, when you and I, early in our relationship, only a couple months into our relationship, we took a trip together. We drove up to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We had a really great time. That was like over Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And fun. But I remember my dad did come out and say, hey, are you sure that's a good idea? Because, like, he was actually worried, you know, like, we're driving into like the South, and, you know, and we're an interracial couple, and so he was worried. Now, you know, is that necessarily like a wrong reaction? I don't know. I mean, that's probably him.
He's actually concerned.
Yeah, he's
Dad's,
concerned.
what, in his 80s now, so I get where he's coming from.
Absolutely. Now, you know, on that particular trip, sidebar, actually, we had a really great time.
We had a great
there
time.
were a lot of interracial couples up there.
Correct. We were prepping ourselves like on every corner, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so, let's go into my family, right? So I told Charles earlier today, actually, that he was the second person to ever meet my family. The one guy that I dated that my family met was over 20 years ago. And he was a Black guy, and, you know, bless his heart, he was young, but he wasn't the greatest person, right? And like I was saying, my family's from the Caribbean. My parents are from the Caribbean, and my dad is a Rastaman, right?
He's a Marcus Garvey follower.
A Garveyite is what they call it, right?
Back to Africa.
Great father, loved him. I had a great childhood, but I knew that my dad was all about me dating, marrying, reproducing with a Black man, right? And so I knew it was going to be a little coaxing, right? And so I remember the phone call, you know, because he asks every now and then, oh, you seen anybody? I'm like, yes, I am, by the way. And it's like, oh, how's that going? And like, he's a great guy, and, you know, telling him a little bit about Charles. And then I had a prompt, and, you know, I tried to just slide it in there and get a feeling, you know, he's Caucasian. And it was silence. And so, I knew I had to let it breathe because I knew it wasn't going to be the preference, right? I know my dad pretty well in that regards. And then I just heard, okay, all right. And then nothing else. And then I brought it up in subsequent conversations, and, it's like, oh, so no black man? I'm like, nope, it's what I like. He's great, treats me well, lovely. And then he came up, right? I think my mom and my dad had came up.
Was this for your commencement?
No, this is before. Remember,
Okay.
You met them one time when they came up before.
Yeah.
And they met the kiddos at that time.
Yeah.
And, I was like, oh, maybe they could sit down, have a conversation. I know it was still something that he was processing, right? And that visit, and Charles could probably sense it too, it was so... I didn't expect him to be best friends with Charles at that visit, but I expected him to give respect. And how I deem respect, engage, right? You love me, learn a little bit about this person who your daughter is head over heels with, right? Charles took us all out to dinner with the kiddos, be more engaging. And so at the end of that weekend, when my mom and my dad was visiting, I was enraged, right? Because Charles was completely nice. He knew, because I had prepped Charles, like, hey, it's going to take some time. And, I let my mom and because just for a backstory, my mom and my dad are not together. They separated when I was in high school, but they came up together. My dad drove and my mom tagged along to see me and to meet Charles. Oh, Charles wasn't there. And this is when we were living separately at the time, when I was living in another city, but my parents were staying with me. And so Charles and the kiddos had went home after meeting my dad and my mom. And my mom and I let my dad have it, right? Because, like I said, you don't have to be best friends, but you should give respect, right? Charles is being respectable to you. You should give that in return. And when I say and at that point, I was in love with Charles, right? He was my person, right? He was the person I was going to do life with. The babies were my babies, right? They weren't my biological children, but they were my babies at that point. That's where we were at, although you were just meeting my parents at that time. And so it was a lot, right? I even, my brother called me, and my brother was like, that's no way for him. He didn't even meet Charles yet. But my brother was like, that's no way that he should,
Your mom filled him in.
Oh, yeah, my mom, if you know my mom called everybody in the family, right? She called cousins, and I'm like, how do they know? They're messaging me, your dad shouldn't do that. My dad's sister, I haven't even told her about you, but I'm getting all these messages. Aunts are calling my dad. So I wouldn't say it was a thing, because if you know me, I have to get things off of my chest. Right? And so I got off my chest, but obviously my family was mad for me. And that's kind of how my family rolls, right? We can fuss and fight, but we also ride for each other. And it was I feel like it was towards my graduation, right? And not that him and Charles are best friends, but you want to tell the peace offering?
Oh, yeah, I was hoping I'd get to tell the mango story, okay? So her parents, her mom and dad come up for her commencement from residency.
Yes.
And her brother and his fiance and their family, they come.
And my nephew.
They come down from up north, and so we're all going to Z's commencement from her residency program, and her dad and I are getting along a little better. We're doing a little better at this point in time, but then we get to the end of the session of the ceremony, and we're all visiting out in the parking lot, all of our families, and her dad goes back to his car, and he comes back, and he's got a sack of mangoes. He's got a sack of mangoes, because in South Florida, everybody's got a mango tree,
yes,
right?
So
he brought mangoes, and he pulls out this one mango, and he's like, Charles, I got this one special for you, and I take it. I'm looking at Z. I'm like, is it poison?
That was his way, right, of doing his little bit of peace offering, I guess is what it was. And so it was, I think even before he came, I think I started to slowly see a little bit more of a change, right? And because he would ask about you now, things like that. And I think now he has come around, right? We are married. He sees how you treat me, right? He hears it from family. You know, he's met you a few more times since then. And it's still something that, you know, it's going to take some time, but I definitely see the change from when he first met you or when I first told him about you. So it was a little bit more easing into it in that regards. And I really had to break it down to him. And I had a conversation with him. I'm like, he is my person. He's the person that I'm excited to see at the end of the day. He's the person that I want to talk to if I've had a bad day. He's the person that I want to, if there's nothing to say, I just want to be in his presence, right? In silence. That is my comfort to me. And so I had to really break it down. Like, I obviously understand that he is another Hugh, but I don't wake up, you know, oh, I'm going to be with this white man today and he is with me. And we don't live our life that way. And fortunately, where we live, you know, sometimes we're a little bit on edge or how are people, but I think, you know, knock on whatever this is, you know, we haven't had to deal with that much adversity. Not that it won't come our way or that we're immune to it, but we've been living our life as just two individuals in love. And I think our family, they've observed that, right? And so now that they've had the opportunity to watch that and watch that love blossom, I think they're receptive to it, at least on my side. Yeah.
Well, that is our story and we're sticking to it.
Let us know down below for those of you. It doesn't have to be an interracial couple. It can be from different cultures. Just let us know, how was it when you introduced your significant other to your family? And as Charles said at the beginning of the video, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Remember to like and subscribe down below. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.